Guys, let me tell you about Sonia. You probably know a Sonia. Maybe you are Sonia. She's the kind of woman who shows up fully, thoughtful, patient, always giving one more chance, always finding one more reason to stay. She's the one who remembers his favorite meal, who checks in when he's quiet, who celebrates his wins louder than her own. She's invested. She's committed. She's all in. And Maurice. Maurice Sam is present. He's there, but not really there. He shows up, but never fully arrives. He enjoys her company, accepts her love, benefits from her effort, but when it's time to stand up and say, "This is my woman," suddenly he's got lockjaw. Suddenly he's private. Suddenly he's not ready for labels. And Sonia. She's over here writing novels in her journal trying to decode what that means, asking her friends if maybe he just needs more time, convincing herself that love looks different for everyone. But here's the real question we should all be asking: how long does someone get to enjoy the benefits of your love while refusing to give you the clarity you deserve? ***. Here's something nobody wants to admit but everyone needs to hear: when different people in your life start saying the same thing about your situation, that's not them ganging up on you, that's the universe using multiple messengers because you keep ignoring the message. Your sister mentioned something weird about Maurice back in April. Your best friend raised an eyebrow in July when you explained why he couldn't make it to your birthday dinner again. Your coworker, who barely knows your business, casually asked in October if you two were actually official or just hanging out. And now here we are in January, and you're still explaining, still defending, still creating elaborate justifications for why a grown man can't do the basic thing that people do when they're serious about someone: claim them publicly and proudly. At what point does it stop being everyone else's misunderstanding and start being your refusal to see what's right in front of you? Because here's the thing about repeated warnings: they're not attacks. They're lifelines thrown by people who love you enough to risk annoying you. They're watching you slowly disappear into a relationship that's giving you stress disguised as love, and they're trying to pull you back to shore before you drown. The question isn't whether they're wrong. The question is why you're working so hard to prove them wrong when deep down, in that quiet place you don't like to visit, you already know they're right. Let's talk about the difference between a relationship and marriage, because apparently this needs to be said louder for the people in the back. You can be in a relationship for years, posting photos, going on trips, meeting families, sharing inside jokes, having deep conversations, and still be nowhere near marriage. A relationship can be genuine and still not be going anywhere. It can feel real and still have an expiration date neither person wants to acknowledge. Marriage isn't just a relationship that's been around long enough. It's not a relationship that finally got tired and settled down. Marriage is an intentional, deliberate, eyes wide open decision to build a future together. It's "I choose you, and I'm ready to prove it legally, publicly, and permanently." And the gap between those two things, that gap has swallowed entire decades of people's lives. Sonia is in a relationship. She's doing relationship things. But Maurice has never once indicated that this is heading toward marriage, and yet she's planning her life like the ring is coming any day now. She's turning down opportunities because she's building around someone who hasn't actually committed to building with her. She's making sacrifices for a future that only exists in her imagination. And the tragic part: she probably knows this. But admitting it means facing the pain of wasted time, and sometimes it feels easier to waste more time than to admit you already wasted some. Now let's address this Maurice Sam situation specifically because it's the perfect example of something too many women excuse. A man who truly loves you, who genuinely sees a future with you, who is certain that you're the one, that man doesn't need to be coaxed into acknowledging you. He doesn't need 3 years to figure out if he's ready to call you his girlfriend. He doesn't develop sudden shyness when friends ask about his relationship status. He doesn't dodge questions about you or keep you separated from major parts of his life. Real love is confident. It's clear. It's visible. Not because it's performative or trying to prove something to the world, but because hiding something precious doesn't make sense to someone who values it. When a man is sure about you, you know. His friends will know. His family will know. Random people at the grocery store will know because he can't help but mention my girlfriend or my wife in casual conversation. That's not showboating, that's what happens when someone is genuinely excited about the person they are building with. So when Maurice stays quiet, when he keeps things vague, when he's been with Sonia long enough to have a mortgage together but still hasn't publicly claimed her, that silence is communication. It's just not the communication she wants to hear, so she's translating it into something more hopeful. And please, let's talk about this Isha narrative that has somehow become the ultimate excuse for male emotional unavailability. Maurice Sam is a grown man with a job, friends, social media accounts, and the ability to navigate the world successfully. Shy doesn't apply here. Shyness is what keeps a 14-year-old from asking someone to prom. Shyness is not what keeps a 30-something man from defining his relationship after years of being with someone. That's not shyness, that's strategic ambiguity. That's keeping options open. That's benefiting from the relationship without the responsibility of commitment. Because here's what people don't want to say out loud: when something really matters to a man, when he genuinely wants something, shyness mysteriously disappears. He'll negotiate his salary. He'll speak up about his car being scratched. He'll argue about sports with strangers. He'll make sure everyone knows about his accomplishments. But somehow, when it comes to claiming the woman who's been holding him down, suddenly he's transformed into a silent monk who can't find the words. Make it make sense. The truth is simpler and more painful. It's not that he can't speak up about Sonia. It's that he doesn't want to. And Sonia is doing what so many women do: she's giving him the benefit of the doubt he stopped deserving months ago, creating compassionate narratives for behavior that doesn't deserve compassion. Here's where it gets really heartbreaking. Sonia is everything you'd want in a partner. She's kind in a world that rewards cruelty. She's patient in a culture that celebrates selfishness. She's understanding when she has every right to demand clarity. She shows up emotionally, supports consistently, loves intentionally. She's the kind of woman who doesn't just say she's all in, she proves it every single day through her actions. She sacrifices her peace trying to make him comfortable. She minimizes her needs to avoid seeming demanding. She celebrates his smallest efforts as if they are grand gestures because she's so starved for reciprocity that crumbs feel like a feast. And what's she getting in return? Uncertainty. Vagueness. A relationship that exists fully in private but barely exists in public. A man who enjoys everything she offers but commits to nothing. She's pouring from a full cup into someone who's holding a colander, wondering why he never seems satisfied, not realizing that some people aren't looking to be filled, they're just looking to consume. And the saddest part: Sonia knows she's worth more than this. Deep down, past all the excuses and hopeful thinking, she knows. But knowing and acting are separated by a canyon of fear, and she's been standing at the edge of that canyon for so long that the view has started to feel like home. Because here's what everyone around Sonia can see but she refuses to acknowledge: she already knows the truth. She's not confused. She's not lacking information. She's read every sign: the reluctance to define things, the convenient excuses when it's time to go public, the way he changes the subject when she brings up the future. She's noticed how his actions don't match his words, how his effort comes in waves right when she's about to walk away, how he gives just enough to keep her hoping but never enough to give her security. She sees all of it. She feels all of it. But seeing and feeling aren't the same as acknowledging, and acknowledging isn't the same as acting. So she stays in this weird purgatory between knowing and pretending not to know, aware of the reality but invested in the fantasy, reading the same chapters over and over expecting a different ending. It's not that Maurice is a master manipulator who's tricked her. It's that Sonia has become complicit in her own confusion, choosing hope over truth because truth requires change and change requires courage and courage feels like something she'll have tomorrow, not today. So she lives in denial that's decorated to look like optimism, calling it faith when it's really just fear with better marketing. And you know what makes this whole situation even more painful? The invisible prison of other people's opinions. Sonia is probably staying in this situationship partly because she's terrified of what everyone will say when it ends. She's told people about Maurice. She's defended him at family dinners. She's posted the occasional photo. She's created a narrative about their relationship, and dismantling that narrative publicly feels more intimidating than suffering privately. So she stays. She performs happiness for an audience while experiencing confusion in private. She convinces herself that maybe everyone else is wrong, maybe they just don't understand Maurice like she does, maybe love is supposed to feel this uncertain and exhausting. But here's the truth that will either liberate you or irritate you: the people whose opinions you're so afraid of aren't living your life. They're not the ones lying awake at night wondering if they're wasting their time. They're not the ones making excuses for someone who should be making promises. They're not the ones sacrificing their peace for someone else's comfort. They'll talk about you for maybe 2 weeks if you leave, and then they'll move on to the next story because that's what people do: they talk and they move on. But you're the one who has to live with the consequences of choosing their temporary opinions over your permanent peace. You're the one who will wake up 5 years from now either free or still trapped, and their opinions won't matter at all in that moment. The most heartbreaking form of betrayal isn't when someone else lies to you, it's when you lie to yourself so consistently that you start believing your own fiction. Sonia is living in a story she's written where Maurice is just figuring things out, where he's going to come around eventually, where his silence means he's being thoughtful instead of uncommitted. She's rewriting red flags as yellow caution signs. She's translating clear disinterest as complex emotional processing. She's giving poetry to prose, finding deep meaning in shallow actions, creating entire romantic narratives out of breadcrumbs. And every time reality tries to break through, every time a friend questions the relationship, every time Maurice shows her exactly who he is, every time her gut screams that something is wrong, she turns up the volume on her own hopeful delusions to drown out the truth. Because acknowledging the truth means facing the pain. It means admitting she ignored every warning. It means accepting that she gave her best to someone who was never going to match her energy. It means starting over. And starting over feels impossible when you've already invested so much, so she keeps investing, hoping that eventually the investment will pay off, not realizing that you can't invest your way into someone else's commitment. Everything shifts the moment you choose truth over comfort. Not partial truth or selective truth or truth with exceptions, but full, unedited, can't hide from it anymore truth. The truth that Maurice has shown you exactly who he is and you've been ignoring the evidence because you preferred your imagination. The truth that you've been more committed to the potential of this relationship than to the reality of it. The truth that you've made yourself small, quiet, and undemanding trying to make someone love you the way you deserve, and it still hasn't worked because you can't negotiate someone into choosing you. When Sonia finally gets honest, when she stops making excuses, stops translating silence into secret devotion, stops waiting for a man to wake up and realize what he has, that's when her life will actually begin. Not the performance of life she's been living, but real life. The kind where she's not constantly anxious, not perpetually confused, not defending her relationship to everyone including herself. The kind where she knows where she stands because the person she's with is clear and confident and sure. That transformation doesn't happen in the comfortable lies we tell ourselves. It happens in the uncomfortable truth we finally accept. So here's where we land: if you're Sonia, or if you know Sonia, or if you've ever been Sonia in a different relationship with a different name, this is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next month, not after one more conversation where you try to extract clarity from someone who's committed to confusion. Right now. You already know what you need to do. You've known for a while. The voice in your head that keeps getting drowned out by hope and fear and what will people think, that voice is right. Listen to it. Because the Sonia who walks away from what's hurting her is going to become the woman who attracts what heals her, but she can't become that woman while she's still clinging to Maurice's maybes. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever been in a situation where you knew the truth but were afraid to act on it? What finally gave you the courage to choose yourself? And if you're still in it, what's really holding you back, him, or your fear of what comes next? Let's talk about it. And if this resonated, share it with someone who needs permission to stop waiting and start living. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we are worth more than someone's uncertainty. One love and peace out.